Hey guys, I'm just gonna get straight to the point. Keep in mind this isn't medical advice, and the official term for psychopathy is antisocial personality disorder, which is tested with the DSM-5 criteria. I'm referencing the PCL-R for educational purposes only. This is gonna be a long video, so beware. It's not a very well-known fact that I scored 32 out of 40 points on the psychopathy scale, enough for the international standard of 30, even if you don't find me charming. I could easily max out the thing, but I don't feel like sleeping around, doing marriage paperwork, or getting captured to valid parole. I'll briefly go through what each facet entails. Glibness and superficial charm. Although I'm not pretty or outgoing, I've got a lot of friends, mostly online friends. People tend to gravitate towards me, sometimes to the point where it gets annoying as an introvert. Some have a sixth sense, so they are repulsed. It's estimated that 80% of empaths can tell that they have encountered a psychopath, and 90% of psychopaths can tell if they've encountered someone with a victim-type personality. So the remaining 10% are kind of screwed. A facade is necessary for survival in the modern world, and my charm is sort of similar to tactics that pickpockets employ. If you dazzle a person with your rhetoric and gestures, they pay less attention to what you're saying and are more easily manipulated. A teacher once told me to hold a pencil while I was presenting before the class so they don't get distracted by my hands moving around non-stop. So I'm gonna give myself 2 points here. Egocentricity and inflated sense of self-worth. If I had a dime for every time someone called me a narcissist, I'd have an RTX graphics card. I'm just kidding. It was like 3 or 4 times that they called me that, but they just say it as a matter of fact, as if I'm already supposed to know it. The nerve of you guys. Personally, I don't consider myself arrogant though. I'm just not plagued by standard insecurities. I can objectively assess my flaws and also the things I'm good at, so I'm not really worried about that. Although I score above average on the NPI, it's not enough for a diagnosis. I'm more of narcissistic than a narcissist. Sure, I'm an egoist, but whoever says they aren't is probably lying or has a bigger problem than me. I wouldn't think twice about sacrificing someone to save my own line if in most cases as well. So I'm gonna give myself 2 points here. Prone to boredom and low frustration tolerance. Well, do I even need to elaborate this? When someone asked me to name 5 of my most frequent feelings, the best I could come up with was boredom, anger, joy, hunger, and thirst. My work gets done with short bursts of energy rather than consistent effort, and although I'm more hardworking than most psychopaths, I'm a jack of all trades, and I lose interest in any given field after like 6 months or so. I have dabbled in art, I've made music even though I'm not a good singer, I've written a book, I've done programming, I made a small game demo that's like sort of abandoned. I basically abandoned everything after 6 months, that's why I don't even have an income, I'm just a broke college student. Give me that sweet, sweet dopamine, the nectar of the gods. 2 points here too. Pathological lying and deception. I legit had a mini identity crisis at 11 because I didn't know which memories were truly mine and which were overwritten by my freaking lies. When I hear a cool story or catchphrase, I like to claim it as my own. That sometimes results in situations such as, hey, wait a damn minute, that's my own story you're bamboozling me with. I usually come up with excuses such as, oh wow, I didn't know it was so common, that place is a safety hazard, or something like that. My heart rate goes down when I lie, which I confirmed during a doctor's visit when I was malingering, but he said my pulse was weak. The one story I love to tell about my lying prowess is the one that happened when I was 6 years old. I got caught peeing behind an old woman's stall, and she inquired about the puddle under me. I said it was raining, and when she retorted there isn't a single cloud in the sky, I said the clouds were making room for the rainbow. Also the time a woman caught me stealing her flowers, so I said I made a bouquet for her and she sort of melted. I'm just kidding, the second story belongs to my cousin. 2 points. Conning and lack of sincerity. This goes hand in hand with the prior one. but I once made like $200 by selling empty gifts at the Xmas market by saying there's a surprise in there and sealing those cardboard boxes tightly. There was like a little stone in there so it would rattle. I still keep one of these little boxes as a trophy. They're actually pretty cool. I have lost count of all the signatures I forged, tests I cheated on, papers I plagiarized in middle and high school, and so on and so on. Even back in 2nd grade, my notebook made rounds around the school when I tried to alter my answers after the fact, and I did it quite poorly, as expected of an 8-year-old. Although I wasn't successful, that test didn't get a grade, and no grade was better for me than the B+ I would have received. I have employed that tactic numerous times since and haven't gotten caught again. I did get caught cheating on a vocabulary test once, but I lied to my parents that I was helping a not-so-smart friend cheat so he wouldn't fail the grade, so this went unpunished. Always fair in love and war. I would give myself 10 points here if I could, but I'm just gonna stick with 2. Lack of remorse or guilt. I don't have NPD, so I have no qualms with saying sorry when the apology is deserved. It's polite to apologize when you make a mistake, and we're not savages after all. However, most mistakes I make are the results of someone else's incompetence, although some people would describe this as victim blaming. Back when I punched a boy who said girls are weak, and a teacher asked if I said I was sorry, I said I did, even though I didn't, and I thought he deserved it. I don't lose sleep at night over anything I do. To quote Rihanna, I'm only sorry I got caught. Remorse, guilt, and shame aren't real feelings for me. When I was small, I didn't even believe in shame. I thought it was just a social construct, similar to Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairies, basically people who are trying to guilt trip you into doing what they want you to do. I don't wear a bra, and guilt tripping and shaming, such as you should be ashamed of yourself, or how would you feel if someone did this to you, simply don't really work on me. So 2 points here as well. Lack of affect and emotional depth. I rarely feel sad, and I don't recall ever feeling real fear that exceeds nervousness. All pro-social emotions are absent for me. I never felt empathy, never felt shame, guilt, remorse, or non-romantic love. For example, my mother was super distressed about some school shooting and kept talking about it for like 3 days. I was just annoyed that she kept coming back to the topic and it got so boring. Back when we got into a chain crash, there was no one was injured, but my mother was hysterical, while me and my dad, who also has some psychopathic traits, were like, "Wee, bumper cars, insurance money." I was often fascinated and drawn in by things that terrify or repulse other people, so 2 points here as well. Callousness and lack of empathy. Like I said, I don't have emotional empathy. Cognitive empathy helps me assess people's feelings, but I just don't feel what others feel. Some people may call me heartless, but that's just how I roll. 2 points. Parasitic lifestyle. I'm in college and I'm still living with my parents. They pay for all my living expenses and tuition. I do try to get a job by sending out applications once in a blue moon, but I always get rejected or fired in 2 weeks. I don't plan on being a parasite after college, but if I had the opportunity to leech for life, I would take it. 2 points. Short temper and poor behavioral controls. I somewhat got a grip on this as I aged, but my outbursts don't result in physical violence anymore, but my sharp tongue still leaves a trail of broken hearts in its wake. I get annoyed over the most minor things, and I can also calm down just as fast. More about this in a different video. 2 points. History of promiscuous sexual relations. Nope. I'm probably asexual, and I'm a virgin by choice. I know, right? An asexual psychopath must be up there in rarity with a unicorn. Although I have baited many men into thinking they had a chance with nudes, no one has deflowered me yet. One day I might have to F for money or fulfill my duties as a wife, but not yet, since this country's abortion policies are shaky and I consider pregnancy the worst horror imaginable. I have had 5 boyfriends today though, pun intended. 0 points. History of early behavioral problems. I'm kind of on the fence with this. I wasn't exactly a problem child, as one would imagine it, but I was different from the other kids. I had no real friends, but a lot of acquaintances. I especially couldn't connect to girls my age. I hated makeup and jewelry and stuffed my dolls with dirt after ripping their limbs off to feed them. I had a sheltered upbringing and I didn't go to kindergarten. I don't really remember much of my early years, but I'm told I could speak at 3 months old and I was a daredevil. In school I was the best in class, teachers loved me. It was only during break that I sometimes had fistfights with upperclassmen, but I was provoked. When I first stepped foot into a classroom, I felt like I was in a zoo. No one was listening to what the teacher said, and my peers screamed like slaughtered when they saw their friends in the morning. One time my parents got called in during first grade because I was always looking at my classmate that I had a crush on instead of the teacher while handing in my work. Behind a prim and proper facade, I didn't like to share, never had empathy, lied a lot, forged things, did petty theft, traveled without a valid ticket, and didn't hesitate to punch those who didn't know their place. So I guess appearances can deceive. Not to mention I dated a bunch of pedophiles. 2 points. Lack of realistic long-term plans. Well, my goals are to play games, graduate college, and survive until 50. I guess conquering the galaxy isn't very realistic due to the 1967 Space Treaty. Don't ask me why I googled that. To be fair, my goals are more vicious than goals. I don't have a concrete plan to realize them, and I take each day as it comes, so 1 point. Impulsivity. Ah yes, the little gremlin inside of everybody that urges us to endanger the safety of others and ourselves. Except mine is on steroids and can outpace Usain Bolt. YOLO, am I right? 2 points. Irresponsible behavior. Kinda goes hand in hand with the previous points. I'm making videos instead of doing something productive. Whoever said psychopaths don't procrastinate is either full of shit or has it together more than me. I also got like 3 cavities unfixed since I was too lazy to show up the second time and I only wash my teeth once a day. I don't exercise much and I eat fast food all the time. I have broken a leg previously, fallen off a statue, rolled down a hill, slipped on a grape, fallen down the stairs with 10 kilograms of cargo, and the list goes on and on. When I had a short internship in the kindergarten, my teacher yelled at me that I was here as an assistant, not as a child when I tried to climb a tree. 2 points. Frequent marital relationship? Nope. Never got married yet, though I did have a 32-year-old fiance at 16 who ghosted me when I broke the leg. I do view marriage as a status symbol and don't know if I would say yes if the person I'm currently dating asked me. If nothing else, the tax benefits are appealing. I'd rather just get married once. It's a lot of paperwork. 0 points. History of juvenile delinquency. Well, yes and no. I've done a ton of illegal crap as an adolescent, but I've never suffered any legal consequences for it. My record is spotless. As my father likes to say, I wasn't a convict, I was a juvenile delinquent. 1 point. Revocation of conditional release. Nope, you need to be incarcerated first to violate parole. Also, that's a mouthful to say. 0 points. Failure to accept responsibility for my own action. This depends, is it a good or a bad action? Just kidding, I tend to rationalize my behavior, and although personally I believe I'm good at accepting constructive criticism, lots of people don't agree. I guess hearing someone out isn't enough for neurotypicals, you actually have to follow the advice. If I broke curfew, the curfew was too early and it was not my fault. 2 points. Many types of offense. As I said, the list includes but isn't limited to pilfering, petty theft, piracy, truancy, traveling without a ticket, trespassing, low-level scam, forgery, plagiarism, cheating on tests, driving without a license, internet stalking, 4 instances of physical assault, accessory to insurance fraud, failure to report statutory rape, and failure to report illegal possession of explosive weaponry. Whoa. Those are just categories. I won't count of the individual events. If I wanted to, I could realistically add extortion or burglary to that, but I haven't carried out the intent. Only petty theft and piracy may have persisted into adulthood. The rest are already too old for persecution. 2 points. And there you have it, folks. I really need to work on my outros.